They say that men don't talk, but they are so wrong. Join me, Noel Professor Richards, and my co-host Huey Cuffie every Monday at 6:30 p.m. for Men Talk. We talk about how to live, how to love, and how to lead. So join with us as we talk about everything that men talk about on Men Talk. Mondays 6:30 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM, The Promise.
You can now see the Men Talk team live on Facebook at Isaac the Promise and YouTube on FBN TV. Sponsored by Dr. Anaya Tony, the Feet Lady at Anaya Health and Wellness Center. Call 360-5166 or 478-7416.
Hey, David, what you now, boy? How you looking spritey so? Just the other day you complaining to me about back pain, chest pain, your foot swell up, circulation, all kind of thing. What you take for that, boy?
Jamal, boy, I went by the Feet Lady, and not just me. I carry the family too. Boy, the family history arthritis, kidney problem, diabetes, circulation, acid reflux. You call all of them just now. Had a pinch nerve too, and a cousin with lupus. And boy, the Feet Lady help you with all of that. And Naya Tony, boy, she's no joke. She even helping you if you had a stroke. Call she today, boy. Don't make joke.
Call Anaya Tony, the Feet Lady of Reflexology today at 478-7416.
Well, welcome to Men Talk on Isaac 98 FM. We want to let you know that Men Talk is a segment that we have every Monday at about 6:30, where we gather together as men and we talk. We talk about things that men talk about. We talk about things that are important to men. We talk so that we could, be better men. We can understand each other. We can help each other to know and understand what it is to be a man. So it's for all boys, all men to talk, but it's a family program, so everybody's involved in it. And because everybody's involved, we want the sisters, the mothers, the aunts, the wives, everybody to be involved. However, when it comes to talking, we only want the men to talk. And that is why it's an interactive program, and that is why when we open up the lines to take your calls, we ask that only the men call, please. Only if you're a male, then you'll be allowed to talk. The females, the ladies, you can interact with us by sending us a WhatsApp to 275-1981. 275-1981. That's how you interact with us, ladies. But for the men, you can call us. We'll give you the numbers when it's time to open up the line. Our guest today, he is supposed to be on any minute. I spoke to him just a couple of minutes ago, but my co-host, Huey Cuffie, is here. So let me say good evening to you, Huey. Okay. Huey, are you hearing me? Okay, I'm seeing your lips moving, but I'm not hearing any talking, so let's see if we can sort that out. 1 second. All right. Hi, Huey. Yes? Yes, no? All right, okay. Again, we're not hearing. So let's just make sure that everything is connected. Everything is as it is supposed to be. And when we do that, then all right, and of course, we are still waiting on our guest, who is Mr. Wendell De Leon. So, Wendell, if you're listening, we would want you to connect with us right away.
Father to the fatherless, physician to the broken. Is there no
I think we got Huey now. Huey, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Professor. How are you?
I am good. I'm really good. And it's good to be alive. So welcome, my brother.
Thank you.
And
yes.
Shout out. I know there are people you meet during the week that you should say hi and hello to them.
Yes. I would have met with the wonderful men of Champions Dynamics with dear brother Alberto. So I just want to say a special hello to him, to them. He has his own version of a men talk going there, where he talks to the men. So that's really good. And also to Pastor Kerwin and his lovely wife Onika. I just want to say a special hello to them as well. And all the saints Champions Dynamics.
I will restore your family, restore your credit, restore your name, restore your health, restore your
All right, listen. One of these days, I think, I believe I want to. I didn't want to believe in it before, but I think cloning might have some advantages to it. I think, yeah. You might have some advantages to cloning, so I can do all the things I need to do, or maybe just add a few limbs and a few hands, But let's welcome our guest, Wendell. Wendell, good evening and welcome.
Yes.
Pleasant evening both to you and to Huey.
Hi Wendell, you going, bro?
I good. I can't miss this. I wonder what professor questions are to be now. I mean, oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, you here for that.
Last week, all they making me cough. You see, coughing is a dangerous thing these days, right? Yeah.
You could clear a whole grocery with that.
You're telling me. Anyway, last week on Men Talk, we were looking at some questions, some what if, some is it okay questions. And Wendell was our guest last week. I'm not seeing George today, so I'm not sure if he's on or not. George, wherever you are, good evening to you.
Yes, good evening.
Trust that you will be able to join us soon. Okay, I was saying to the ladies, sorry ladies, we have a number for you to send in your WhatsApp messages if you have a question or comment, ladies. 275-1981, 275-1981 for the ladies. If you want to be a part of the program, you have an input, a question or comment. Okay, so last week we started asking some questions, some is it okay questions, and just to remind us what the questions were, I think we asked two questions last week. The first one is it okay for me to ask for my engagement ring back if the relationship doesn't work out? Right, so we engaged, we're going to get married, something happened and we decide, or the counselor Wendell told us, says Noel and ready to get married. So we wanted to heed what Wendell says and we decided to call it off. Or was it Patrice was counseling us? Anyway, but the point is we called it off. And the question was, is it okay for me to, as a man, to ask back for my ring, since it's my ring and I purchased it and it be part of a set? We don't want to get into that because we talked about that last week. And then the second question we ask is, if I'm taking someone out on a date, is it okay for me to tell them I have a budget and they can't order things over a particular price? All right, so we're going out and I say to listen, I don't think I'll be able to afford everything on the menu here, so don't order the filet la lou, that kind of thing, right? So is it okay? And we talked about that too, so we want to move on. So my friend Wendell, I see him smiling. Wendell, we need to see a little more of you, so if you could just adjust your yeah, right. That's a little better. Okay, so okay, so coming out from that too, we want to ask the question. So you're on a date, and the meal costs more than you expected. It costs more than you expected, or not that it costs more than you expected, but you realize that you left some money home that you didn't. You thought you would have had in your wallet or your pocket. You put on the wrong pants, or something, and you didn't have enough money. Is it okay to ask your date to help you pay the cost of the meal, since she would have, taken part of the meal too? She partook of the meal as well. Is it okay for me to ask somebody, listen, I don't have enough money, or do I keep it from them and probably make a call to Wendell or Huey and say, bro, I need all the help. I need all the help down the road here, boy. All right. So what do you do in a situation like that? What do you do? Do you say, I really wish I had, enough money to pay for this, but something, yeah. Do you let her know? That's my point. Do you let her know and ask her for her assistance, or do you pick up the phone, call somebody, call a friend, something, make some arrangement with the person, the manager, of the restaurant or wherever you take them. So what do you do in a case like that, gentlemen? And of course, people, we want to open up the lines early as well. So the numbers to call are 622-1981, 622-1981, and 628-1981, 622-1981, 628-1981. And ladies, if you have a comment, then feel free to WhatsApp us, not a voice note, but a text message, please, so that we would not have the voices of the lady in the program. A text message, tell us what you think or what you would prefer. If you were out with somebody, would you want them to tell you, listen, I don't have enough to pay for the meal, or would you prefer they keep it from you and find some way to deal with that themselves? So ladies, you can send us a text message on that, and men, we would want you to call at 622-1981 and 628-1981. Let's take a call straight away. Hello, good evening, you are on the air.
Good night, Professor.
Okay, no, wait, hold up. We want the ladies to send us a text message, please. We want the ladies to send us a message on the WhatsApp at 275-1981, because the program is still Men Talk. So please, ladies, we don't want you to call and we want you to send us a text message. Men, we want you to call. Wendell, you're laughing, boy. Hello, good evening, you're on the air.
Hi, guys. Good program. Professor. I think we need to go through some kind of vetting of these questions. You know. This question a little, I don't know.
Too hard?
Check the panel before we do these questions, man. That's just my take, too. Cool.
Who's the panel? All right, he's gone. Is the question too difficult, gentlemen?
What is it? The question?
The question is, you are at a restaurant, you took the person out, and at the time of the bill, it comes up to more than you have. As a man, do you say to the young lady, whoever she is, listen, I do not have enough to pay for this meal. Can you assist me? Maybe I'll pay you back later or something. Or do you find a way to deal with it without letting her know? That's the question. All right.
Yeah, so, you Wendell's going to respond?
I see you jump in and take a call, so I told the panel normally take a bite at it,
Well, well, we don't want you to influence anybody, Wendell, so that's why we took the calls first. Go ahead.
All right. But again, it's a touchy thing because, I remember, and giving credit to Huey last time, he would have said, based on the fact that you're out on a date, you would have reached a certain point with the person, and that point of maybe trust or confidence that we share. So I might want to be able to, in a spot, but then I also wouldn't want to put that person in a spot. What if they don't? What if, let's say, for some reason they didn't come prepared for that as well? So now, me turning to the person to say, hey, I need help because I forget my wallet home, or in rushing to come, something, it's an awkward kind of situation to put somebody in. I would probably default to calling somebody, and, if I have a friend or so, like, hey, here what, what are you doing? Pass and check me in the restaurant here now. Walk with XYZ as the case, I forget my money home kind of thing. And I just sort out that after, because the problem is not going to the person. The problem is if the person is not in a position to help you, you are not going to embarrass that person into a place where they it's like, I'll be upset. I didn't have the expectation that, I'll have to pay for my meal, and then even though you wanted borrow and I don't have it, that's an embarrassing place to be. So I wouldn't put that on the person. I would rather look elsewhere for the support should in case something like that happen, and sort out that on my own kind of thing. I just feel it's uncomfortable to do that to the person.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, especially in this day and age now where it could basically, if you have a friend or a relative that you could call, you go in the bathroom, you washroom, and you call them, and, that's, do a transfer there, especially in the same bank, you could do an online transfer, and address that. Technology is there. But I think even way before that, it's really about planning. It's really about, you're going to a particular restaurant because you planned and you thought that you were going to go there. So from a practical perspective, what you want to do, you know, as men, is that you want to do your planning and your preparation. You want to, you know, the menus are public, you know, there's not national security, it's not classified or anything like that. You could call, you could, you know, this is what is happening. And so what you want to do is really create a budget that will address a particular, you know, range, right? Because again, you know, if it is you going for you're very tight on your budget, then that obviously is going to increase, you know, discomfort on your part. So you really want to ensure that, look, you know, at the end of the day, if it is that this is what you want to do, you need to have reasonable expectations for the person, right? And again, you know, as was mentioned, the whole trust factor, how far along the relationship is. But at the end of the day, no woman got up the morning and said, you know what, I really could take on being embarrassed tonight. You know, I'm going to get my best dress. I could be embarrassed tonight.
Let me take a call. I'll come back to you on that one. I'll come back to you. Let's take a call. Hello, good evening. You're on the air.
Hi, guys. Okay, now that the panel elucidated a little bit, I guess, collaboration kind of. But I was wondering.
You wanted us to jump into the water first, and you try to have no sharks, then you can come in.
Right. But this is given all that now. On the part of the woman, though, if this is your first time doing that, it doesn't show preparedness on the part of the man, as Huey would have alluded to. You know, it takes preparation, and so when you show up and this thing were to happen, you would come across very unprepared, and I don't that would order well with the woman. So that's just my tip. Get your tools ready, get prepared, and execute. Good.
Thank you. But just before Wendell, you know, gentlemen, I understand about being prepared and, you know, and organizing yourself before. But situation, have you never, well, I know you guys drive, so, you know, maybe you haven't taken a taxi or maxi for a long time. You go on the maxi, and when you reach your destination, you realize, oh, shucks, I forgot my wallet home, boy. I didn't plan for this. So you had to talk to the driver, you know. So I talking about a kind of situation like that, where you would have planned. You would have planned, but, you know, something happened.
You're moving the goalposts, or you're moving the goalposts.
No. Well, based on your responses, I'm saying you can have a situation. The question really is, should you get the person involved? You know, if a situation like that happens, should you get the person? Because it's not that you didn't plan. Maybe you had all the money and you meant well, but you forget the wallet home, or you pick up the wrong, whatever it is. But you're in a position, you're in a situation right now. So what do? Do you tell the person, hey, listen, you know, upon the wrong pardons?
I got that, Professor. I got the fact that you were saying it's a innocent mistake. But again, like I said, I wouldn't drag that person inside of that. That's humiliation, especially the person finish eating. and you know, they could have a number of thoughts in their head that, look, here's what. Is it that he trying to get me to pay for my meal? Is it, you know, and I remember, now, what I wanted to do was reverse the situation just for some men. While you're putting it on the men, what if it was you going out with a woman? She decided, I am treating you. And when time come now, she actually forgot her wallet or whatever it is, her purse or whatever home. And now she turns to you and say, this is a real situation. I could attest to this as a real. She turned to you and said, oh my gosh, I forget my wallet. And it's on you now to pay for it, to say, well, could you sort out the bill? Where you going?
All right, but as a man, Wendell, let me ask you this: if I have the money to pay for it, and I decide, okay, I will pay for it, do I say, well, I pay for it, but you pay me back? Or do I say, as a man, let me take care of that, man? You see, these are real things that could happen. So you are.
Go ahead. Yeah, I said that to you because that is a situation. I remember that happened to a good friend of mine, you know, and we laugh about it because what was so odd is that it happened a second time. And she said to me, you know, you would think this is really a habit. But the reality was, you know, I laughed because it wasn't anything major. Just so that maybe it was coffee or whatever. And it's like, well, I'll spot it. You know, don't worry about it. But if it was something major, then what? Then let's just say you went there with the intention that the person was handling the bill. And would you have felt okay? Two things, like you said. Would you want to ask back for the money, or would you have felt okay having to be put in such a spot to do it? And I guess once you could answer that, you would understand why, in my opinion, I'm saying you shouldn't do it to anybody else.
Yeah.
I see.
I think, we are just in a hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
But I think also we have to look at surrounding the hypothetical, how to avoid the hypothetical as well. So again, if it is in a situation where you've forgotten your wallet, you want to let the person know early on. So, ideally, if you realize in the maxi, then that ironically as it may seem, that's the best place to realize that you don't have your wallet. Better to realize you don't have your wallet with a maxi than, go and call along, a $300 plate of food. So that's one, right? And the next thing is about being real. It's about being real in the situation in terms of, look, this is where I'm at, right? And you want to minimize embarrassment. And the thing about it too is that the person has the opportunity to see how you deal with crisis, how you deal, what's a character like in that situation. And you never to know. Sometimes even in a situation like that where you end up, going back, walking back home, so you travel back home, and how you deal with it, there's humor in that. It's an opportunity for you to build a relationship to So, and you also see how the other person reacts as well, right? So you're trying to make the best of that situation. But if it is now that at the stage that you're eating, you're happy, and you're eating a sumptuous meal, I would want to suggest, that you use the Huey Cuffie checklist, right? Which is, you're always checking your pocket at different stages. When you're leaving the house, you check your pocket. Do I have my wallet? When you go into the maxi, you check your in fact, open the wallet too. Make sure you have money, right? So you're doing these things.
Yeah, because
right?
carrying your wallet with no money. Yeah. I hear you.
So preparation is important. Have a backup plan as well. Now you might say, look, I could only afford X amount, right? Or other stuff, but just in case, add a 10% to that, right? Or you're your partners or your cousin or your sister, or you're treating your sister well, that look, in case you have the same bank account, you could wire something or transfer something to me. The point is that you want to put your best foot forward as you're going into this interact. Why are you doing it in the first place? You see, why it is that you're doing? Are you doing it why? So you get to know the person, but you want to, have an opportunity where you could develop a friendship or get to know one another for it to be a memorable night, but you don't want it to be memorable for all the wrong reasons. So this Vikey thing that some of us may have, that I would just, wing it. What are you communicating? You may not intend to, but you may be communicating to them, look, this is not someone who's serious, or this is not someone who could actually plan properly, right? Because if this is going to happen for this, what about a bigger, responsibility, a bigger engagement? So unwittingly, again, it may not be intention, but you are communicating a message that you may not want to be communicated. So yes, people are very understanding. I think, in fairness, a lot of women are very understanding. They're willing to, to go the extra mile. They're willing to see what is happening. But at the end of the day, do you really want to put the person in that embarrassing place? So, give it some thought, right? And don't try to impress a person for a moment. Doesn't make sense, especially if you're looking at a long-term engagement, because then you're going to be doing it all the time. So you take me out to this big, 5-star whatever restaurant, and then after that you can barely buy my doubles. What really going on there? So those are the things that we have to be looking at. But preparation is important, and always checking yourself, especially if you're traveling, to see that you have what is necessary. Ideally, if you're inviting someone out, the expectation is that you'll pay.
It's on you. It's on you.
Yeah.
No, people say, especially women, make sure you carry your vex money. You know that phrase? Make sure, so. People usually have, but it's not reasonable, I think, to expect the person to actually come in enough money to cover entire meal, especially when it is they are not the one determining where you are going.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing too. So you have to be mindful of that as well.
All right. So I really have a follow-up to that, but we have some ladies here. Let me just read some WhatsApp responses. One says the gentleman should be honest and ask to borrow, not ask to share the bill. Next one said, this is a very ticklish position to be in. I don't even know what to say, but based on your relationship, it might be easy to do. Someone says, if I were in that position, I will deal without letting the person know. All right, so don't get the person involved. Next one says, good evening, Professor and the rest of the panel. I would definitely appreciate if he would let me know. If I am dating him, I would care about him and what concerns he may have. However, I would gently let him know that we should agree on a budget going forward. Okay. Next one says, I don't think anything is wrong with him asking for assistance. But if it is the situation happens often, then that would be a problem. However, what if that person don't even have the cash to assist? That's what Wendell was saying. It will be embarrassing for the yes. Wendell was saying that.
Awkward.
Someone says, yes, tell me, but fix your mix. Yes. I ate, but you don't know if I have money. Okay, that lady saying that. Yes, I had money, but you don't know if I have money. Okay, so those are some of the responses that we get from the lady. Now, gentlemen, if now this is a case where you invite somebody to lunch, but let's say it's a co-worker and we said, hey, we're going out to lunch. Is it to be assumed that each person is paying for themselves? You know?
You see that? That is hold on. That is a cultural thing. Because if you, living in the US for some time, I was able to appreciate that when somebody tell you, let's go to lunch in the US, it's not the same as somebody in Trinidad telling you, well, hey, let's go to lunch. Because somebody in Trinidad said, let's go to lunch, usually they tell you, hey, don't worry, I got it. I got you. But somebody telling me in the US, let's go to lunch, is really, we go into lunch, but we share the bill. You pay for what you eat. And,
right.
you know, I realized that very, very early going. You know, it's like, okay, I'm working and we went out and it's like, okay, I realize it. They operate very different. They will call the bill and they split it down. Okay, this is what I did. They pay. They do what they put on a calculator and start to check. You know, so if you know you didn't have money on here, so I could see somebody leaving Trinidad with this understanding of this culture and going to the US and getting caught in that whole mixing. That's a real scenario, because you really thinking that they will have your back, but that's not it. That's clearly a whole different perspective altogether. So, yeah, Professor, you need to speak to the culture on that one.
Well, I guess if that's the case, because I would want to know if we're going out to lunch, you know, who's paying, if I am paying, you paying, if we're splitting it and that kind of thing. So maybe that's a conversation that needs to be had even before, you know, whoever is issuing the invitation. Folks, just to remind you that this is Men Talk on Isaac 98.1 FM, The Promise, and it's a program for men to talk. It's a program that we want to hear from the men. I see we have a call on the line, so let's take the call on. Say hello, good evening, you're on the air.
Oh my gosh, I'm just all this access today, but Professor,
talk to me.
You sound like a Scrooge McDuck, you know.
Why you saying that, boy? No, don't say that.
What are you going on here? But anyway, this sounds like we could go down a line of, a potential question is, what happens in relationships or marriages where the woman is making more money than the man? I don't know if that is ever in your lineup, but I think that in this somewhere. Thank you, guys. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me just I love that question, and I want to spin it back into what we're talking about. The fact that you may have a partner who's making more than you, who would want to go in probably a more luxurious environment for dinner, but that may not necessarily be what your pocket could afford. So they will upscale the environment. They say, well, hey, let's go here. Okay, you enjoy going there with them, But when it's your turn to say, let me treat, you cannot necessarily, based on your income, upscale it like that. You may be able to go somewhere, but it's not necessarily a high end because there's a stark difference. What then happens in there? Because the person is saying, well, I go in where I could afford, and I am paying the bill. So that's not, I don't see anything wrong in that. On the flip side of it, you say, well, I am going where I could afford, but my pocket is not necessarily your pocket. So what is the right or wrong in there? Or that could create an issue where partners are then feeling slighted, where I don't know that you're measuring up, you appreciate me enough to take me to the places that I am carrying you, and I feel, like you're being a cheapskate. And that may not be the case. It's just simply where my budget is. According to the caller, we have different levels of pockets, different earnings. What say you then?
Yeah.
I hope I'm not destroying your question.
No. And that's good. It's important for us to deal with situations like that. Huey, you were going to say something?
I mean, that's a real situation. I mean, you have that now that women in many situations are making more than men. And this is where, even from then, if it is that this is going to be a serious relationship that could actually result in marriage, this is something that's going to continue even then. So, definitely there needs to be that openness and that comfort level that, look, at the end of the day, what is it about? Is it that, we are actually doing, there's a cost analysis to see who could actually, take me out to the most expensive place? Or is it that we're ready after the outcome, which is an experience and an opportunity where we could really have an enjoyable time together? And so, I think many times we miss out what is the aim of the activity that we engaged in. So if it is that the woman in this case, because of what she's making, and she, just remember, this mindset that, it's just the man trying to impress the woman. It's not just that. A lot of women, they want to be in a relationship too. Newsflash. They enjoy, the man's company, and they as well want to show, look, this is, I'm working for this, and this is the fruit of my labor, and I want to do this, right? It's not necessarily implied that, look, I hoping that, when the piper come, you're ready to pay. Yeah, no, it's not that. So I think it's again, depending on the person, integrity and the character of the person, that, look, we have any conversations, I'm happy to go, but this is what I could afford, and this is who I am. The problem that really happens occurs when a lot of us are trying to be something that we are not, right? Where we're trying to impress people. And so, we have to be careful, because that will eventually catch up with us, right? So it's important to be authentic, to be upfront. Even as a man, we have to be secure in ourselves that even if you're the woman, this person interested is making more money, and you be comfortable with that. Affirm, recognize, look, but be comfortable in your situation, right? Work is honorable, okay? And so if it is that you're working, doesn't matter if you're working for less than another person, does not make your work dishonorable, right? You're working, and this is what you earn, and I think people will respect that. So I think it's important that you just have to know who you are, comfort level. If the person is taking initiative to invite you out, and they know what you're working, you tell them your job. If it is you want to tell them, and look, if you lying to them, that's the next problem. But I think even from then on, you need to make clear what your expectations are, and what their expectations are based on what you have.
Yeah, because I guess, let's say the person is making more money than you, and every time you go out and they take you to these upscale places and they are paying, do you as a man say, well, there would come a time where you would have to do the paying? Or is it that you allow them to continue to do it? Is that a conversation that you should have with them? Because if you know you can't afford it, and you're not going to put your hand where your hand can't reach, do you say to them, look, I know you've been, paying for everything. I cannot afford, to pay for anything. If I'm taking you out, if I have to pay, then we can go to X, Y, Z. Do you have that conversation with them, or do you allow them to continue? Since she's making more money and she can afford to take me out,
No, that's sustainable.
Again, we back to so she can take you to Hyatt when she decides, okay, I'm taking you to Hyatt, it's a high end, it's gonna cost maybe a couple $1,000 or so, a evening dinner kind of thing, and you're saying,
right.
Jed, my money is small, I could only do a 500, and so comparatively, if it is that this is happening every time they're taking out is more the high end places, but you're definitely not in that place to go. And the question then is, do you come out and say that? I think that is what you are asking, Professor. Do I admit to the person, this is where my budget lie in terms of affordability?
Yeah.
I cannot match up to where you are. Is it intimidating for you? Do you feel comfortable in it? Or do you, because to tell somebody, if that is where her standard is, to tell her to dumb it down because I am uncomfortable, it may not necessarily be something that she might be okay with also, because this is the style, this is my lifestyle, this is what I'm accustomed. I mean, we dating or we now getting to know one another. Why should I adjust? I don't have a problem taking you out and paying for you. So you have to deal with whatever insecurities or intimidation that you feel because I am doing that. The thing about it, can I reciprocate? And if I'm saying to you, girl, here what, I appreciate you doing this, but my budget when I take you out, I might just be able to carry it at a normal restaurant. I hope you understand. And if you put that out there, that she then could say yes or no, I could deal with that, or I appreciate that, or well, I'm not going to those places. I'd rather us go to one of the high end and I pay the difference. And then it's up to you to say yes or no. But there are lots of things in there that create a lot of difficulties with men that they may not even get off the starter's block because of that. They don't want to.
Yeah, well, I agree that, but I think, what you're speaking to there, Wendell, would really alert us now to some bigger issues down the road, right? Because again, we have to recognize and respect, some basic differences between men and women, right? And also women have egos as well. So I don't see it necessarily as a dominant dong. I see it essentially as being flexible and recognizing the reality of your situation. And the reality of the situation, if you again, what is the intention of this? If the intention of this is that you're seeing promise in us having a relationship, it speaks to a bigger issue here that we're going to have to deal with. And the thing about it, yes, is that, and this is the irony of it, the irony of it is that we have expectations of persons in a relationship, outside and inside. And it is, I think, flexibility is a critical aspect in any healthy relationship. And if it is that she, for example, short of the man taking her to some cockroach infested places, newsflash, there are a lot of places besides, the main hotel that you could go and have a great time, because it is not the place that makes you have a great time necessarily. And obviously you do it. And I don't think he as a person will never go there. I think there will be special occasions where he will want to do that. You know what I mean? But if it is that, we go in there, just for a 2 fry and a 2 upside down chicken, right? All the time, no, you have to, she'll be wise enough to understand that, look, this is the situation that he is in, right? And I need to give him an opportunity to also, to facilitate this. So it goes both ways. So I think at the end of the day, what are we after? Are we just checking off a list that, okay, he take me to this fancy place today, I took him to that fancy place today? Or is it that, we're trying to get to know one another, and we're also going to have some special occasions? And I think if that man loves her, he will save, he will do something, even with his limited amount. We talked about the rings last week, right? And he would want to do that. But I think what we want to do in a situation is that whatever actions are, in terms of it being loving, it is also to not to dishonor the other person. It is to recognize that if she's working for this amount, you honor that. You honor that. She has earned that. And look, you go to her and you embrace her and say, okay, I really appreciate this. I really, this is, and you recognize that she has worked for that, and this is what she has done. But at the same time, she has to honor him as well. Yeah. She has to learn how to honor how this is what he has, and he's willing, he's not ashamed. he's willing to go out with me, and and you appreciate that, right? And especially as believers, where Paul says, in whatever situation you are, you know how to be content. That is what it's about. So we know how to be able to deal with the high end. We also know how to do the peace, right? So especially if we are believers, this is what we are. It's not about being trapped in a world system where we derive significance from where we go in. So it's about the relationship, and I think that is what we can't lose sight of that.
All right, Wendell, just take up in 1 second for me. We have a call on the line. Let me just take it. Hello, good evening.
Wow, I might as well be a part of this panel tonight. We went down a road of potentially class and category, what I like to call it. We two might have the same class, so to speak, maybe background, but in terms of, I guess, income and what have you, the different categories. That's it. And secondly, I believe men usually like to, probably start with something small and see how it's received and or appreciated, and then graduate to larger and more grander events and
gestures, yeah.
So it's all about gauging that process in the ascending the different levels. So I just want to put that in there too.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Wendell, I stopped you when you were going to make a point. Go ahead.
Yes, beautifully. I mean, I like the fact that the caller tried to put it, in the categories and on class and stuff. Huey said something there about honor. I think I want to add respect to it too. It is really a case of honor and respect for the parties going forward, in that you don't try to humiliate or even deliberately intimidate a person when it's supposed to be, as you said earlier, Huey, creating a memory, creating something that is really positive. What sometimes it becomes a challenge, though, again, we had to be real in terms of how we position some of these things. We don't want to just create these hypothetical situations out of something that is very abstract and not necessarily rooted in reality. I've had scenarios with clients where people take up these little things that become annoyance or issues for them, when it don't work out. And yes, let's say the woman is in a place to afford more. That does not necessarily mean that you rub it in my face in a way that could be humiliating. If it is to work, we must be sensitive and appreciative of everybody. You're not going there to as a big spender and to basically, I'm letting you know all that I can do, because what I see that, and this is the point I really want to drive home, what I see that could do is really present for me a barrage of problems, or highlight for me a barrage of problems that would present itself down the road should we actually consummate this thing into a relationship in a way that let's just say, for example, we want to get a house, and there is no way we could be, again, I'm borrowing a word, Huey, flexible, or we could be able to come to a mutual place, because you want what you want based on what your income and where your earning is at. And I am saying, but while I appreciate that is where that is, that creates a level of inequity for me. And so how could we find a common ground in there where I don't feel less of and you feel, because what happens, and I know, and this may be, I will go down this road, I know we may not want to, but let's just say in a real world situation now, we reach a divorce, where I have a lot of those clients who are struggling with that now, and we have to reach the point of dividing, or the courts dividing how this thing was initially, how the contributions were made. And at the end of the day, that is where the inequity will be very, very glaring. and then of course because I put more, and then it will come out. This house is 3/4 million, and you only put this amount, and while we were in there building something good, when we come to that place, we'd always remember the good we were trying to build.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
just 1 second, Huey. Folks, you're listening to Men Talk on Isaac 98.1 FM, The Promise, and we have my co-host Huey Cuffie and also our guest Wendell De Leon. And Huey, just before you come in, I just also want to let the folks know that this is sponsored in part by Ayana Reflexology Health and Wellness. You can also check us on Facebook right now. That's Isaac the Promise, and FBN TV. That's our YouTube channel. So not just you can do more than just hear us. You can also see us as well. The good-looking gentleman that I'm in the company of this evening. So feel free to also to share. And I just have one more text message that I want to read before I bring back in Huey. This person, well, she dealt with last week too. She said, good night, or nothing wrong if he asks back for the ring, but I will keep it if he says, and if we go out, you should not try to take me where your money can't reach. But if it happens and you ask for help, it's okay, just not all the time. All right, so she's doubling up the question from last week and this week. Okay, so go ahead, Huey.
Yeah, I think even as what Wendell shared, it raises the very real issue. You have to recognize that differences, especially large differences, are potential sources of conflict. And that is why counseling, premarital counseling, is so important. It is why you can't be naive. And so, this thinking that, we could ignore that, especially, when you're courting. It's not a big deal. Those things are issues, potential issues. So it's very important that we need to be open about it. And don't think that, you could, it's easy to ignore those things when you're courting or before you're married. Everybody go into their separate place. I just had to put up with it for about 2 hours or 3 hours max, right? But when now you go into the realm of marriage is, as we say, is the stress test. All those little fine, thin line fractures,
hairline fractures.
Yes, hairline fractures. Thanks, Wendell. Those things here you could deal with in lineman and courting. But then a marriage will stress test that, and that thing will turn into a raging, fissure that basically will break the dam. So it's very important that we need to be real, So sometimes what we tend to do is, it's not a big deal, or I ain't gonna take that, or no, or, no. Those are real issues that a professional counselor or someone who at least wise enough will be able to pinpoint, look, how are you all dealing with this? So it speaks to some reality. Just like how, maybe getting married to someone who's very, way older than you or way younger, that has a potential conflict. If it is they come from two different family origin, where one is more introverted and next family origin, they're extroverted, that is a potential source of conflict. Now, it doesn't mean it can't work, but the problem is that we ignore it. The problem is that we don't even address it. We don't say, okay, what could happen here and how are we going to deal with it? Are you comfortable, for example, with her making more? Or, those are things, and we ignore those things, and then you go into marriage. So it's a real thing. When it's correct, especially, I say, he would want to go there. I don't think anyone want to go there in terms of a divorce, because that is when everything does turn horrible, know. So when it's working well, it's nice, but I still think that you want to be in a scenario, and it's something we have to recognize now. We no longer, that's a society where men were the main breadwinners or earning significantly more. Right, we're in a knowledge economy largely, and in a knowledge economy is not dependent on muscles, physical muscles. It's dependent on other things that makes the playing field very flat, and anybody, regardless of gender, could excel in it. So especially for men, it's men talk. Men have to start to begin to appreciate that. Men have to recognize, for example, which is something that we've always fallen short with, but because how society operated aided us. we have to recognize that our identity is not wrapped up in certain things. We have to be comfortable
anymore.
Anymore. We have to recognize that, what, like I remember sharing with a friend, he's talking about this struggling whole aspect of him not being a provider, right? Or at least providing as much as he would like, and his wife at the time maybe providing more. I say you have to understand something. Being a provider is not just limited to finances or physical things. Men, we have built into us this capacity to provide, but you provide also emotional support. You provide encouragement. You provide wisdom. You provide companionship. There are a lot of things that you can provide, right? Mm-hmm. And once you have a relationship, your relationship don't care about what other people say outside of your marriage, right? It's what two you all have the understanding. This is how we will operate. All right. And once you all could derive value from that, both of you all, then you all could work that. Many times the problem is that we're trying to be studying what other people think about our relationship. And a lot of people who thinking things about our relationship, they in failed relationships. Why are you even thinking about them? So it's very important that we understand how we're going to operate, how we're going to deal, right? And last thing I would say, but as men, just be careful, and even women, right? You don't want to, a person who loves someone else should want to ensure that they are not overly dependent on you. You want that person to be interdependent just as you are. Because things do happen. People die, right? And you want to ensure, for example, that, look, when you go off the scene, love for that person will want to show that, look, this person, they're educated, they have their backup and whatnot, vice versa. So I feel those are real conversations that need to be had so that it's not some naive thing. Love is not naive. Love is wise, love takes action, and that's the type of love you want to have, where we could actually, have those real conversations. It's open, it's true, and this is where I'm at, and where you at? Are you comfortable with that? Let's look and see how we could go forward together. And get counseling. Counseling to address some of these potential sources of conflict.
Indeed.
Before you jump in, Professor, I don't want to lose the trend of thought, if you permit me.
Go ahead.
I want to again, endorsing what Huey is saying, and the difference is, a lot of times you have the issue of cultural, traditional differences and all of those things that come together. Let's say we approach savings differently. Let's say we approach life differently. Some people want to save, some people want, they want to be frugal, while others say, we have to live, let's live the moment. And different approaches to life or perspective about life will also dictate how we do things. But at a macro level, and I want to go at a macro level, men, is all we're talking to, particularly where at that level, we tend to not be ready for the changes, the cultural changes that the society would have embraced or is engaging in. Those social change that we are seeing, every day. And one of them in particular is the idea that here's what you are required to come to the table, not as you normally know it, as a provider. Men are seen as providers. You come with those things. You're seen as protectors. You're coming in there with those givens. And then the woman say, hold on, stop. I don't need you to provide for me. My income is about triple times yours. I don't need you to provide for me, because here's what. I have guards at my house. I don't need those kind of things. So you're caught flat-footed to then ask the question, so what do you need me for? I need you to show me that you care about me and you love me. And that will become and has become a critical issue for a lot of men who don't know what that is, who's not in a headspace to appreciate what it means just to care and love you. What does that mean? How does that manifest itself into action?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, well, that's something I think even women have to recognize. They have to deal with it as well. Just as how men have to get accustomed to this new space, women have to get accustomed to the new space. Power exposes, Wendell. Power exposes character. And so even a statement like that, if a woman is making such a statement, it shows even their limited understanding of what love and care involves, right? So love and care involves recognizing and honoring, you know, our respective capacities and desires in the relationship. So you directly me, this is what I want you to do and X, Y, Z. I already have guards and things. Then you're not necessarily wise. You know, if it is, you may have guards, but perhaps maybe your husband now could actually, manage the guards. You know, those are things that you can look at. So I think, this is the interesting thing about it. It's a test of character for men. It's also a test of character for women who now find themselves in the same position that they have been ranting against of how men have been operating in terms of dismissive. Because we've heard men in the past do the same thing. What I need you for? The famous saying, all they want me is pregnant and barefoot. Right? Yeah. And that is the same. You doing your own female version of that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important that we recognize that power is not gender specific, right?
Oh no.
Power will expose character, whether it's good character or bad character, and women now have to recognize that and that's why it's one of the reasons why a lot of women right now, for all the power they have, they're single. They're just hugging cold breeze, right? They're hugging the cold breeze, and they say, "We're all the men and all the men." Right? You're not innocent in this, right? Society has undermined healthy relationships. It has undermined the very thing that we lament. It's like what C.S. Lewis says in terms of, he said, we scoff at honor, but then we shock to find thieves among us, right? You can't do that. So you scoffing at things that actually this about manhood and all kind of thing and think about manhood is correct. That very thing you're scoffing at, now you're missing it. So I think it's important for us to recognize that regardless if you have power or not, how are you dealing with it? And it's about, again, what's the outcome? If it is that you can't handle this difference, is no problem. Go with someone who is more compatible with you, and that you all, that's good. But if it is you are persisting after me, right? My pockets. That I take a 12-seater limousine every morning. But yet you still want me to go with you. I tell you this, I keeping it real with you. And you say, well, you just had to come to terms with this is who I am, right? Don't try to make me something that I am not, right? And vice versa.
Yeah. Gentlemen, this is probably the shortest hour on the radio because we've run out of time. But let me just share a couple of WhatsApp messages from ladies. One says, if you enjoy the other person's company and I make more money, it would not be a problem to take him to the Hyatt. So she doesn't have a problem. One says, I prefer knowing I'm not putting the pressure in nobody's pocket. I'm interested in him, not where his pocket can reach. We will figure it out. The goal is to build together. Just that, those two. But we have come to the end of the time that we have allotted for us. I wish we had more time because we have a whole lot more questions, but we're going to probably pick them up another time. Just to let you know what the other question would have been, and sometime in the future we'll pick it up again. The question would have been, I'm just throwing it out because I want people to think about it. So your ex has a situation, your ex has a problem and needs assistance, whether it's financial or something to do in the house, and he doesn't have anybody to help, and it's a genuine situation, you want to help, but you also know your spouse doesn't like your ex, they don't get along. What do you do in a situation like that? Your ex calls you and says, I need help. What do you do in a situation like that? If you speak to your wife says, no, you ain't going, you ain't helping, you ain't doing anything. You know that because of the relationship. What do you do as a man? So don't answer, gentlemen. That's really that would have been
not even going.
That would have been the next question.
We out of time.
We out of time. Yeah, and that would be a kind of out of time in talk, yeah, right? So gentlemen, thank you. But even though we're out of time, I still want to give you Wendell, first of all, our guest, a minute to just close off.
Based on what we were talking earlier, Professor, I want to go to the fact that there is a saying that chivalry is dead, and I want to ask the question, I want to leave us to ponder. Is it that we killed chivalry conveniently? Is it that because we remove that thing that allows us to be, or to naturally be who we know ourselves to be as men, that it has been taken away now, and we have been left in a helpless position that, who we know ourselves to be and represented ourselves as in the past, we could no longer, because the bottom has been pulled out from us. I think we need to really stop and think as men whether or not, I like to go back to what, and what Huey is saying, how much we are honoring and respecting our roles as men as we continue to care for our women folks and our families.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Wendell. Huey?
Yes, quick. Want to add to that quickly. Men, embrace your manhood. There's nothing to be ashamed about being a man, all right? And you have something powerful and important to contribute to society and to our women and to our children, right? So, it is honorable to be a man, right? And there's nothing wrong with the qualities of courage, of integrity, of, of standing, of helping others, all right? So don't buy into what the world is trying to do with men, to define what men should be, okay? You know that, our source of telling us that is the Holy Scriptures, the Word of God, but also in terms of how we communicate and love one another. So again, embrace your manhood, right? Don't be ashamed of being a man, right? Your man is not defined by how much money you make, right? It's about your heart and your character. It's not about the size of your pocket, it's about the size of your heart, right? And your character, okay? And that will take you places, okay? So God bless you, man. We love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Huey. Thank you, Wendell. God bless you both. We'll pick it up again some other time. Blessings.
Everyone, take care.
So, folks, this is the end of Men Talk for today. We will be back again next week, Monday, God's willing, at the same time, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30. And as I said, this is the shortest hour in radio because, there's so much more that we could have said that needed to be said and could have and should have been said. But our time is up and we have to operate within the constraints of the time set for this program. So maybe next week, as I said, we'll be back here at 6:30. And just to let you know that Men Talk today has been sponsored by Ayana Tony, the feet lady, as we call her. And we want to say thank you so much to our sponsor. And if you want to be a part sponsor to this program, feel free to give us a call. Contact us and let us know. You can call and ask for David or ask for any one of the marketing reps. 622-8981. Yeah, just call and ask for any one of the marketing reps if you want to be a part sponsor in this program, Men Talk. God bless you. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we've got a Solidarity Revolution. But for now, it's over and out.
Hey, David, what you now, boy? How you looking sprightly so? Just the other day you complaining to me about back pain, chest pain, your foot swell up, circulation, all kind of thing. What you take for that, boy?
Jamal, boy, I went by the feet lady, and not just me. I carry the family too. Boy, the family history, arthritis, kidney problem, diabetes, circulation, acid reflux. You call all of them just now. And a pinched nerve too, and a cousin with lupus. And boy, the feet lady help you with all of that. And Naya Tony, boy, she's no joke. She even helping you if you had a stroke. Call she today, boy. Don't make joke.
Call Anaya Tony, the feet lady of reflexology, today at 478-7416.